Hi guys, it's Dylan from Bijou Diamond Jewellery in London with another watch video, and today we're taking a look at the Rolex 2023 releases. So as always, pretty disappointing from Rolex. Very few updates that are worth noting, but I will go through everything in fine detail and look at other brands at another date. This year marked the two big anniversaries, Daytona and Submariner. Submariner 70 years, and obviously Rolex got so excited about this 70th anniversary, so much to release that they actually forgot to update the website for Submariner. But so yeah, we're still waiting on the Submariner updates. Looks like maybe we might get those next year instead, but I'll look into the other stuff instead. So starting with what's not new, what's gone. Milgauss is gone now, and that's pretty big because Milgauss has been around for quite a long time now. So to have a whole model, not just a variation within a model, discontinued, to have an actual discontinuation of a whole model is pretty big, and it's not much mention of it. It's pretty under the radar on the Rolex website. There's no kind of nod to it at all. It's just been discontinued. So yeah, that's probably the biggest update from Rolex, is actually something they didn't mention, and that is discontinuation of Milgauss. Let's take a look now at Daytona first. So Daytona 60th anniversary this year, probably Rolex's biggest update of what they wanted everyone else to think is their biggest kind of release this year is Daytona. They've updated the case and the design of the watch. The new design has also different changes on the dial as well. So if we start looking at the dial and then move on to the case, the dial has elongated index markers, so slightly longer index markers. They're also a little bit thinner and more refined, slightly pointier in the end. They're just a little bit more elegant, maybe arguably compared to the last version or the last reference. Yeah, they are quite different looking actually, those index markers. Much sharper edged, much cleaner, and actually when you look at the old index markers, these look much better, and that is definitely a good update. I think it makes the old dials actually look kind of outdated and a bit old-fashioned now. So yeah, good update there. The next update on the dial we have large update, is the sub-dials have now been thinned down a little bit. So the rings that we have on the sub-dials, they used to be quite thick in comparison with the very thin, fine sub-dials that we've got on this new version. Quite hard to tell. Again, these are very, very minor updates to the dial. This dial has remained pretty the same since the 80s and maybe even before that. So yeah, it's only ever going to have very tiny incremental updates. The case has these kind of more refined lugs. The actual case design and the edges of the case are much sharper than the old style, which was a little bit more rounded and softer edged. This is sharper edged. It's kind of in line with what we saw with the update on the Date 40 and the Date Just 41 as well, when we see that kind of sharper edged case, slightly more elegant lugs arguably, rather than the kind of more rounded bulbous style that you saw on Daytona. The crown guards on the Daytona are also slightly wider. They're not as pointy as they used to be. They're a bit more flatter edged, which actually looks really nice. I mean, again, minor update that probably most people will never recognize or kind of notice. And then the next biggest, probably the biggest update that Rolex is kind of pushing with or leading with in terms of design is the metal ring around the Cerachrome bezel, the ceramic bezel. And it matches the metal whatever the watch is in. So if you've got a yellow gold Daytona on the Oyster Flex with the ceramic bezel, then you have a matching yellow gold ring around the ceramic bezel. So it does look nice. I do think it does look really smart, and people were saying, I mean, I've never experienced this with our clients, but that the bezel is more susceptible to damage when it's just a ceramic bezel on its own, whereas now that you've got the metal to protect that outer edge, it should be less susceptible to damage. I mean, we've never had any cases with clients complaining to us about damage from ceramic bezels on Daytona, so I'm not sure that that's the real excuse for it. I just think, actually, personally, this is a really nice design update. I think it does actually make the watch look a little bit more refined, kind of gives it a little bit more of a luxurious edge, to be honest. The ceramic bezel on that Daytona before did look a little bit more, well, very sporty, especially because it's in black. It looked more Tag Heuer style. So yeah, I think this adds a bit more of a luxurious kind of edge to it, literally. The biggest update I think that they're going to lead with, and it is really this Platinum Daytona with its new crystal caseback, clear crystal caseback. This is a really interesting move from Rolex. It's the first time they've ever done this on Daytona, and they've pretty much never done, I don't think they've ever done this on any sports watch from the brand ever. So this is a huge move from them. It's definitely, in my opinion, the wrong move. I don't see why on earth you'd want to reveal that movement. There's nothing nice to it whatsoever. And it's almost more embarrassing that they've done that on the Platinum Daytona, where you're looking at a watch that's already extremely expensive and arguably their flagship watch in their whole entire collection. And it's got a really unattractive movement. They've only put an 18 karat gold rotor in there rather than 22, which is more standard in the watch industry. The movement is not pretty, it's not designed nicely. It's kind of, the way I can liken it is like Mercedes putting a glass bonnet on a C-Class. You're revealing absolutely nothing special beneath, so why reveal it? So yeah, strange move, but each to their own. The new movement inside the Daytona is the 4131. They did say there was one update, but it was pretty insignificant, so I didn't put it in the video. The next watch we're going to take a look at is Yacht-master. Yacht-master, there's only one addition to the Yacht-master collection, and that is the Yacht-master 42 in titanium. The Yacht-master 42 was originally only available in gold, so white gold and yellow gold with a Oyster Flex bracelet, sorry. And now they've brought out this titanium version with a bracelet. The titanium version is in almost all brushed finish, including the sides of the bracelet and also the sides of the clasp, which is really unusual for Rolex. The sides of the case are also in brush finish, but they've just got this kind of thin beveled edge, which is actually really nice in polish finish. So yeah, interesting update. Strange that they added the titanium feature to the Yacht-master collection. So yeah, let's see if maybe they release some other watches, to back that up in the future that would make a little bit more sense. I mean, it would have made a lot more sense to have the titanium Submariner come out this year, marking 70 years, but they decided not to do that. Maybe now that they're starting to trickle titanium through the collection, we might start seeing it in some of the other models, which would be great. But very odd to add it to Yacht-master, especially in that 42, because the 42 is already pretty big. Not too much to say about this piece, other than the fact it's in titanium. I mean, it was the most hyped watch prior to today being, actual release day. It was the most talked about thing that Rolex was going to do, was release a titanium watch, and it's pretty big disappointment, but I'm sure lots of people out there will love it. I don't think it'll be very popular with us and our clients. Moving on to a very interesting move, and that is the Cellini, which is now known as the 1908 from Rolex. Strange move. I think Cellini actually sounds better and suits the watch better rather than 1908. It's kind of giving me code 1159 vibes from Order by Piguet. Yeah, code watches, that very strange name. Same here with Cellini to 1908. I find that very odd. We now have a very different watch to what we had before. The old one has been discontinued. We no longer have a moon phase and date function. We now have a time-only watch with small seconds down the bottom. I mean, it's literally as if that watch was already not popular enough, or unpopular enough, sorry. You've now made the most unpopular watch even more unpopular. So very, very odd move there. They've got new dials, but none of them are interesting, or neither of them are interesting because there's only two. And you now have it in white gold or yellow gold. Again, not particularly interesting. Strange to get rid of rose gold. The 1908 also has a clear crystal case back as well. Again, you're revealing something that's absolutely not special in any way. So I find that really odd, especially that they've not made an effort to try and make that movement more pretty, versus, I can understand the sports watches being a bit more functional and not revealing those movements, but the Cellini is designed as a dress watch, or the 1908 is designed as a dress watch. So surely it's within your interest to make that a little bit more attractive and a bit more refined. I guess not. Moving on to the Sky Dweller. This Sky Dweller has actually received probably one or some of the biggest updates of the whole collection this year. And it's odd because last year marked its 10th anniversary, yet we got no real updates to the watch then. This is the 11th anniversary, but we actually have lots of updates. And this year we actually have a new movement for the Sky Dweller, which is the first time since its release in 2012. So that's very odd. Maybe that means next year we'll get our 70th anniversary Submariner, who knows? So let's take a look at the Sky Dweller and see what we've got. We now have white gold as an option for Sky Dweller, but that's on the newly released Oyster Flex straps. So now we've got Oyster Flex for white gold, yellow gold and rose gold, which is actually really nice to see. The Sky Dweller is designed for those that travel often, or frequent flyers essentially, those that dwell in the sky. And often when you're flying, a bracelet is the scratch, it's a major scratch magnet. When you're on a plane, you scratch it all the time on the table, maybe even your seatbelt. There's tons of things going in and out of security. There's tons of things that can damage your watch during travel on an aircraft. So to see it now available on Oyster Flex is brilliant. And also when you're flying, you want to be comfortable, and bracelets aren't always that comfortable. So the Oyster Flex definitely will aid the comfort of that Sky Dweller. So yeah, definitely a welcome addition to the Sky Dweller collection without doubt. Really glad to see that. We also have some new dials for Sky Dweller. We have this really cool new green dial, which is available on the steel and white gold variation. And obviously you can get those models on standard Oyster bracelet or Jubilee bracelet, which is good. And kind of what's led this new release for Sky Dweller is this new rose gold Oyster bracelet with a greeny blue dial, which is a really interesting move from Rolex. We don't have any dials in the collection like this, so it's really cool to see them kind of venturing outside of the norm of blue, green, white, black, grey for most of the watches in the collection. And it's nice to see something kind of alternative for a core kind of centerpiece to their collection, aka the Sky Dweller. So yeah, hopefully that dial will trickle through to some of the other watches in the collection. It'd be great to see that on the steel and white gold, even though I don't think they'll do that. It would be great to see it definitely on the white gold one. I mean, that would be a brilliant watch if we could see that option available on the white gold and the Oyster Flex. Hopefully they'll do that next year. Let's see. Moving on to GMT Master II, we seem to consistently get pretty good updates from GMT Master II every single year now. This year is no different. We've got the introduction of yellow gold as a metal option within the collection, and that means you can either have it in bimetal yellow gold or full yellow gold. These are really cool looking watches. I mean, that will be contrary to most people's belief, but actually I think these are really good additions to the collection. They are only available on Jubilee bracelets, which is an interesting, bold move from Rolex, and I actually like it. It's actually quite reminiscent, both of them, of kind of vintage watches in the collection. They give me, I mean, definitely the full yellow gold one gives me very much Wolf of Wall Street vibes. Very cool watches, actually. I like these a lot, and I like that they've just decided just to do them in Jubilee as well. I think these will do really well, and it's nice to see something else other than just the root beer. Moving on to Explorer now, which again in the build up to the releases was getting a lot of attention. A lot of people were talking about Explorer, but we now just have a 40mm Explorer, and that is the only update we have for Explorer. So we used to have a 39mm that got discontinued in favor of 36mm. Now we've got 40mm and a 36mm. The 40mm is only available in steel, whereas the 36mm is available in steel and also steel and white and yellow gold. So whether or not maybe next year they might release a steel and yellow, I'm not sure. I think it's an odd move, but it does make sense why they've done it, really. It matches up with the rest of the collection now, I suppose. But I just wish they'd just kept that 39mm. It was a brilliant size and everyone loved it. Seems strange to now go up a size, but I suppose it's in line with the rest of the collection. Moving on to Oyster Perpetual now, we have lost quite a few of the colors of dials that we had previously. We lost the turquoise blue, the pink dial, the yellow, the coral in certain models of the watches. We still have those available in certain models, but before we had them available in pretty much all of them. Now we've only got the pink available in certain models and the turquoise Tiffany blue available in certain other models. And where they've been replaced, we now have in the 31, 36 and 41mm this strange bull pit looking dial with basically the dials that they've discontinued just thrown in into blobs on that dial. Really odd move. I don't see this being particularly popular. It probably will command a bit of a premium over, massive premium over the retail price, purely from the fact that it's just strange and very un-Rolex, so people might want to start collecting it. Yeah, very odd move. I don't know how long they'll do this dial for. That could make it somewhat collectible in a way, I don't know. But yeah, very odd move. Didn't see that coming. I don't think anyone did. Next, moving on to day date, and we only have updates for the day date 36, which is a shame because no one really cares about day date 36 compared to the 40. We now have 3 new stone dials, which are quite, very cool in their own rights. But unfortunately, they have paired every single one with diamond Roman numerals, and it's the 36mm Roman numerals, which are not nice compared to the 40mm, 40mm. So I think that's a real shame. Would have been lovely to see these with just standard index markers, or maybe diamond dots or something less ostentatious, or kind of ruining that stone dial like those diamond Roman markers. So let's see if maybe in the future they update that. I don't think they will. These also come on diamond presidential bracelets as well, if you want that, which is even more horrendous. But yeah, so I think that's a bit of a waste of some interesting stone dials. Submariner, oh yeah, nothing to say here for Submariner for the 70th anniversary. Real shame. Never mind, hopefully next year, if we're going for the trend that they've done for the Sky Dweller, where they're a year late on their release for anniversary. I think hopefully next year we'll get our titanium Submariner with the single red writing. I think that'd be brilliant. Let's cross our fingers and wait another whole year for another disappointing release from Rolex. That concludes this video. If I've missed anything from the collection, which I'm sure I probably have because I just wanted to get the video out as soon as I could for you guys, then please let us know in the comments, because it is always useful, for everyone to know, hey, don't forget this dial. And as always, if there are any watches in this video that are of interest to you, then do get in touch. Our details are at the end of the video and also in the description. Be a pleasure to help you out and call that watch into stock for you. Obviously, once these watches start trickling through into the market, we'll be able to get all of them. Thanks guys for watching, and see you guys soon.